Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Yesterday, we did say that we would continue. We were looking at WASCA, and you might just have visited their website at wascal.org or .org. And we did say that we'd continue today. Today we have Dr. Justice Nana Income, who is the scientific coordinator of Migraware. We'll be understanding all of that, and he's representing the overall chairman. He's coming out of, well, Ghana, I'm not sure, or Germany, but he is representing the overall chairman. So good morning to you, Dr. Nanankom.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We've been trying to understand the wonderful work that's going on in WASCA, and well, it does seem at the moment very much the province of the academics and the intellectuals and the specialists, and so we're looking to see if more regular market people can understand it. I will be joined also later on. We started with her yesterday, Professor Apollonia Okimame. Now, back to you, Dr. Income.
Yes, I have just one quick comment. I have two feedbacks. So there was one preliminary voice and another one. So I'm unable to keep up consistently with the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. If you heard a voice. Okay, maybe that's, you're talking about feedback, echo. Maybe you were hearing it twice.
Yes, there was a little bit of an...
Oh, okay, so we understand that happens sometimes when there's distance between us. But are we good now?
I'm still hearing myself, like the preliminary statement that I made. So I could also call back if that's fine. That way we can sort this out quickly.
Okay, what we'll do, Doctor, is that I'll pause at the end of, I'll give a gap, so that will take care, you won't be hearing double. Okay?
Perfect. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. So if you could raise the question again, then we'll take it from there.
Sure. You are scientific coordinator of Migraware. Well, that's something that we know that. Well, you academics always do that. Migraware is an acronym for something. Could you first of all explain that? Because we want to understand what Migraware is in the context of human and environmental systems and climate change. So what is Migraware?
Okay. So Migraware is indeed an acronym for a very, very big thing. And I'm glad you asked the question about what that is. So it is an acronym for rural, urban, and cross-border migration, an integrated framework for assessing the drivers and factors of migration in West Africa. So pretty much what we are looking to do is to sort of like understand why people migrate, how people migrate, where they migrate to, by having to connect the movement to the drivers that we already know. So hitherto we will be taking drivers as simply the pull and push factors, right? And then you and I know that from our basic knowledge, pull and pull factors usually would be maybe for economic purposes, for educational purposes, or for family, reunion, whatsoever. But we do consistently miss the key aspect of what these drivers really are, which is going to be the environmental bit of things, which is going to be the climate change related bit of things, which is going to be the interrelationship and intercommunication amongst people. So the main thing really is to have to understand these drivers from that typical environmental aspect of things, and then put these drivers under one unicorn, which would be perhaps a framework that can help us understand and then also provide substantive support to national development governments, and then also to our general academic discourse. So
Okay.
that's what Migraware really is all about.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor, because I'm going to try and see how we can see the link or how it integrates. And you started on that path. There's WASCAL on the one hand, there's climate change and human habitat. In fact, there's the other colleague on the line, Professor Apollonia Ohihame. She's in our Lagos studios. So a fine morning to you, Professor. If you can hear us, see us.
Good morning, Uncle Yorin.
Good morning, ma'am. Okay, aha, there you are. Excellent. So we started off from, with Dr. Income, and we've just benefited from an explanation on Migraware. It's quite a mouthful. The doctor broke it down. And coming back to you, yesterday we were talking about the education, new techniques, and you touched on that. But the doctor here, he spoke about your overall role, wanting to enhance the resilience of, shall we say, human and environmental systems to climate change and increased variability. Forgive that, mouthful, because it's what you have on your website. So I wanted to ask you now, Professor, how well are governments receiving the knowledge, the benefits of the research that you are offering? Because it seems to me that it's quite important, but then governments must take hold of it and be able to work policies out of it. What is your assessment, Professor, of how well governments are doing in the 10 countries in which you are operating?
Well, for government to be able to tackle the policies related to migration, they have to be aware of the various outputs from researches. Now, in the case of Migraware, which is meant to give us a solution related to climate change and migration, we expect that there will be, we are going to suggest governance instruments. It could be financial, it could be regulatory, it could be commercially based, that will aim at alleviating migration needs. Not only that, we are also going to suggest improvements to local livelihoods, and then also suggest how we can sustain human environmental interactions. Now, this is in addition to using scientific and technological frameworks. And these scientific and technological frameworks will make use of innovative technologies like Twitter, a software. In fact, Migraware is a library-based open source software that is going to be derived from our activities in the research. And then we'll also use citizen science to record whatever interaction we have with stakeholders. Now, the government has to be aware of this, and WASCAL is in a position to make it easy for government as a form of service delivery.
Okay.
And then with that, we can also work with government to derive policy that will be useful in solving in mitigating migration.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Well, in case anybody just joined us and the Prof was talking about WASCAL, just once more to remind that WASCAL is an acronym for West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adjusted Land Use. Back to you, Dr. Income. When introducing you, I had said that you were representing the overall chairman, and he's a German, I imagine, because Germany is sponsoring this this project. So I wanted to ask, what's in it for Germany? Why is Germany,
Sure.
helping us out?
Well, thanks for the question. So actually, the principal coordinator is a woman. So at least that gives a little bit of strength in there as far as the power of women is concerned. She is with the University of Wittenberg in Halle, and the key thing about the benefits that Germany stands to gain from this is, I would say, it's just a way to contribute to Africa. I mean, Germany's collaboration with Africa has been like exceptional for so many years now. There has been a very good collaboration with the BMBF, which is the German Ministry for Education, and their sponsorship for scientific work and undertakings in Africa has been a very long-standing collaboration. They have had very good interest in improving and training to sort of like improve the substance and quality of scientific undertakings in Africa. And this is a continuation of that very strong collaboration and strong efforts that they have. They have long-standing, collaboration, staying with. So I would say that the need really is for them to help us understand the main core concept underlining the migration, conquer. You and I know what has happened over the years with Africans moving to Europe and the kind of difficulties or challenges that they go through, through where they migrate through, either through Libya or through the desert or whatever it is. And you and I understand the painstaking process that they go through, and also the brain drain thing that comes along with this whole movement. So if we are able to typically understand from the environmental and the climate change related causes, the main drivers and factors of these migrations, then perhaps African governments are able then to provide substantive support systems and also techniques that can help minimize the challenge that our citizens go through in migrating to Europe, and then also the problem of having to settle once they get there. Because there's one thing having to migrate, and another thing having to painstakingly go through the process of wanting to settle. So that's really the key aspect of it.
Okay.
But the overarching body is to understand if there was any factor as far as climate change is concerned that causes these movements to take effect. So that's also another aspect that we need to be very sincere about. So that is the key thing.
Okay.
Does climate change have any role in this whole movement, or is it just the environmental bit of things, or is it just people's interest to want to migrate, which you and I really know that's not the key thing. So this is more like an expedition that is sponsored by the BMBF to want to understand the key drivers of what causes this migration. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Professor, interesting what the doctor was saying in there. Especially, maybe I can bring it back to you because your university, Federal University of Technology, where you're a professor of geography, how did you come to be selected? I mean, of all the universities in Nigeria, that arguably have all that you have, how did it happen? Just the law of the draw, the luck of the draw, and is it important?
Okay, the selection process was a very rigorous one because Nigerian universities were identified based on a criteria we call international ranking. Just like in other parts of West Africa. Now, they looked at, first of all, let me mention this. WASCAL focuses on climate change, but with different thematic foci. You have economics, education, information technology, and so on and so forth. In our own case, we were initially selected to run the climate change and adapted land use program as a master's degree awarding program. And the reason was that we at least had a good program in that area, in the Department of Geography. However, we had to compete with other universities in West Africa who also showed interest. And at the end of it, we were lucky. We got the program, but as a master's degree awarding program.
Okay.
Now, after a year, after the first set of graduates, after 4 years, we were asked to upgrade to an aspect of adapted land use, which is human habitat. In other words, we are focusing now on how humans interact with their environment. Okay? So it was a rigorous process from within and from without, with other countries that showed interest.
Okay.
And
okay.
of course, 11 out of 12 out of West Africa, 11 countries in West Africa have one WASCAL program or the other based on the strengths they projected.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you very much.
And this took a period of about 1 year.
Okay, to get to where we are. Now, something I want to sort of, almost close with is, yesterday we had this exciting concept, and let me get, I'll come back to you, Prof, but I also wanted to get Dr. Income's, sort of contribution on the concept of green hydrogen that we were talking about yesterday. It might not exactly fit into the milieu of what we're talking about today, but we're looking at it as a possible alternative fuel, and it's it's lesser impact on the environment. Would you like to say a few words on that, Dr. Income?
Thanks for the question. I'm still having to adjust to the audio, so I'm sorry if it's taking me too long to react here. But yeah, I mean, I think that topic really is something that obviously is the way to go right now. If you look at how much our individual countries spend on energy, I think the way to go really is green energy. And if there is already a policy instrument or a directive or research opportunities to want to advance that aspect of energy, then I think that's the way to go. But we should also be a bit more sensitive to the other critical sources or the other critical factors that can either ruin this process or make it even maybe quite impossible, which is in this case migration, also access to land, and then access to the research opportunities to improve that technology. So I mean, this whole adventure obviously needs to be looked at in that holistic perspective, and then also research opportunities vested in that process, because everything comes down to either there is enough human resource to improve that technology, either there was enough land availability to improve that system, and even in its entirety, land general aspect that needs to be taken seriously looked at. So I mean, I completely share in that drive, and I think that's the way to go.
All right then. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Justice Nana Income, scientific coordinator of Migraware, originally from Ghana, I think, by the name. That Nana is a dead giveaway anytime. Thank you very much for making for joining us on the program today. Now, switching back to Professor, maybe we'll close out, with, again, returning to the idea and any other thing that you wanted to ask, that you wanted to bring to our notice, but returning to the idea of this green hydrogen, for me to ask the question, how far away is it? It's exciting, all right. You spoke about this briefly yesterday. How far away, Professor, is, shall we say, the fruition of this idea? Is it, within our lifetimes? Or, it's something much more work than that?
I have to say this. I have difficulty in hearing you speak, but from what I have picked, I can say, well, yesterday I mentioned that Nigeria is just starting.
Okay.
I think it's the right time to get involved in using this means of reducing our carbon footprint. However, I will want to say this very clearly. There's a lot to be said about green hydrogen. And I think we can come for another interview with you, Yuri, with my colleague who has gone to Germany currently, so we can link up with him and have another thorough discussion where, if listeners are interested, they can ask questions.
Indeed. That's a nice idea.
So I think that's how I will cap it up. We can organize another program for this.
Okay, then.
In the meantime, this program, you said I could add any other thing I wanted.
Yes.
This program is meant for Migraware. We are launching the commencement of Migraware in Nigeria, so that interested stakeholders can join us and so that we can add value to whatever it is we are going to put to the table.
Indeed.
Thank you.
And thank you also very much, Professor Apollonia, Ohihame. I'm going to hold you to your words because I'm looking forward to the exciting meeting where other people will be able to ask questions, because people did ask questions on the little that we did do yesterday. And I said, hold your horses. The team will come back today, and we've moved it forward a bit. But thank you very much, Professor, for coming on. Professor Apollonia Okimame, Director, Pascal Climate Change and Human Habitat in Nigeria. And also thanks to Dr. Justice Nana Nkom, who we heard of earlier. Okay, so stay with us. Thank you very much, Doctor. I know there's a time lag, so you might not have the time to respond, but thank you nonetheless.